Hi crafting friends, welcome back to my channel. And if you're new here, my name is Lisa. And today we're getting super crafty with some fun and easy Dollar Tree DIYs for spring and Easter. We'll be making adorable bunny-inspired candles, candlesticks, lace baskets, and more. And all of these projects will use budget-friendly Dollar Tree items. I can't wait to show these projects to you. They're honestly some of my springtime favorites. For our first DIY, you'll need 2 of these $1.25 candlesticks from the Dollar Tree and 2 of the Crafter's Square little ceramic bunnies. We're going to be making simple and elegant spring candlesticks. I'm also using this Bear spray paint. You can use, though, any spray paint that you may have on hand. You can see here I'm using some hot glue on that under surface of the bunny's paw, and then just gluing it on there so that it's nicely centered so that the candle will sit evenly with the base of the bunny. You can also use E6000 or a stronger adhesive if you choose. You can see here I'm attaching that second one, and I'm going to let those thoroughly dry before I take them outside and spray paint them. I also decided to add a little bit more hot glue in some of the other places where the bunny makes contact with the candlestick, just to secure it in place a little bit more. So now that the hot glue is dried, we're going outside, and I've put these candlesticks with the attached bunnies into a cardboard box, and I want to caution you to be sure to wear a mask and be outside in a well-ventilated space because these are toxic fumes. It's always good to just take that precaution. So you want to shake your can and give the spray paint lots of short bursts. I'm going to give these candlesticks 2 coats, but I'm going to let them thoroughly dry in between coats. So while that paint is drying, I'm going to show you a really fun technique for creating little Easter baskets out of lace doilies. These are from Amazon, but you can find these also in thrift stores, antique stores, and other places. I'm using a bottle of the Elmer's glue from Dollar Tree. You can find these bottles of white Elmer's school glue at Dollar Tree for $1.25. And you can see I've pretty much dumped out the entire bottle into this flat pan. I'm adding in some water just to thin it slightly, and I'm wearing some thin plastic gloves so that I can really get in there and mix that glue and water together. Once I have a nice blended mixture, I'm going to take one of those lace doilies and dip it, and you'll see I want to get a nice saturation. So here you see I'm taking that first one and just immersing it into that water glue mixture, flipping it over, smoothing it out, allowing the glue to really penetrate that fabric. And then after I get that fully saturated, I'm just going to squeeze out any excess and smooth it out. Now, as you see, I'm using an empty, rinsed out plastic container as the mold. I'm smoothing that doily over the back side of it and centering it so we have a nice base. And then, as you see, the doily kind of wants to ruffle on its own. So just allow those ruffles to go in place, forming them with your fingers. And then I'm using these craft clamps from the Crafter's Square at Dollar Tree to hold those ruffles in place. This is going to need to dry overnight. Now, you can see you just want to clip those vertically over the tops of those folds, and that will hold that design nicely in place as it dries. I'm carefully setting the first one aside so that I can dip the next doily. And as you see, that first doily absorbed a lot of the glue mixture. Fortunately, I had just enough left to saturate the second doily. But that gives you an idea of how much glue this requires. I thought it would be fun to go to an antique store and find some antique pieces of lace and maybe even make some larger baskets using this same technique. But for now, I'm starting with these small ones, and you'll see just how charming they turn out. So here I have an empty butter container that I've washed out, and this will be our second mold. And we're going to just, as you see, lay that doily right over the back side, allowing those folds to develop, and then we'll go ahead and clip those in place as well. Before recycling these empty plastic containers really work perfectly as forms to create these very nice basket shapes. So now as I've finished the second one, I'll set it aside to dry. And meanwhile, I'm going to show you a very clever technique. It's a very popular way of decorating plain candles. Now, I just want to caution you that these are going to be for decorative use only. We're going to be adding a napkin to the outside of the candles, and I'm going to use my small Cricut iron to adhere the napkin design to the candles. Almost any time you're using napkins for decorative purposes, such as the candles or decoupage, you want to separate the plies. In this case, this napkin is a 2-ply. It's easy to separate them if you put a little drop of Mod Podge in between your index finger and your thumb, and that allows you to just pull the separation apart very easily. So now I'm going to go ahead and position this around the first candle. These candles are very pretty, kind of a creamy color, but I thought that decorating them would really make them seasonally festive. So I'm just wrapping that napkin around the candle, and then I'm going to use some parchment paper as an overlay before using my Cricut iron to slightly melt that wax just enough to make the napkin adhere. I position the napkin just so there's a slight overlap, and I'm making note also of how the design is going to lay. Now I'm taking a piece of parchment paper and just overlaying that as a protective layer, and I'm going to use the Cricut iron to go over that. As you see, I've learned that the motion needs to be quick and continually moving so that you don't deform the candle. You don't want so much melting to occur that you in any way damage the candle. You just want enough to cause the slightest bit of surface melt to adhere that napkin to it. If you discover any spots that didn't adhere, you can just go over it again with that little iron. Again, moving quickly and not lingering in any one spot. And now as I remove that parchment, you can see how the design almost looks as though it's been painted on. Now here's another technique. In this case, rather than using the whole napkin around the candle, I just cut out individual bunnies, and then I'm wrapping the parchment around each little design. And as I use that iron, do you see how that color underneath is darkening? You can see that the slight amount of melting is taking place to fully adhere that lovely little design right to the surface of the candle, giving it a painted on appearance. And I'm going to cut out several bunnies and go up and down the candle. So there'll be several different bunnies on both sides of the candle. Now, if you'd rather have functional rather than just decorative candles, I found these at the Dollar Tree. I thought they were very pretty with that swirl pattern. Before returning to the candlestick project, I'm going to show you another fun one. This uses the little Dollar Tree cutout bunnies along with that pretty bunny napkin once again. This time I'm going to separate the plies, and I'm going to apply that top ply of the napkin design over top of the bunny. You see here I'm using one of the Dollar Tree sponge brushes to coat that wooden bunny with Mod Podge. Now I'm using a piece of parchment over the napkin overlay, and I'm just using my Cricut iron. That will smooth out any wrinkles in the napkin without causing any tears. So I'm going to set this one off to dry, but first I'm going to do a second bunny. You'll see there's quite a few bunnies within that $1.25 package, so you can make a lot of these either to hang on an Easter tree or to use as package tie-ons, or maybe even place setting cards. Adding individual names to these, wouldn't those be a delight to find at each place setting for your Easter table? So you see here now I've positioned a second one underneath, and I'm going to once again use that sponge brush, apply a nice even coat of Mod Podge. This is a large container, but you can buy the small containers for $1.25 at the Dollar Tree as well. So all of these items, with the exception of the napkin, can be found at the Dollar Tree. So you see I'm just applying that nice even layer, and then I'm going to go ahead and once again overlay that napkin. At this stage, that napkin is thin and wet, and it needs to be handled very gently. Should you create a tear, you can easily cut out the corresponding piece of the napkin and just patch it right in like a little jigsaw puzzle piece, and you'll never know the difference. I'm using that Cricut iron now gently over the surface of the parchment overlay just to eliminate any wrinkles. Carefully remove that parchment paper, and then I'm going to just set this aside to dry. And after allowing them to thoroughly dry, I'm just going to add a thin top coat of the Mod Podge, and then once again, we'll set them aside to dry. Now I want to share with you one of my favorite spring projects ever. These candlesticks with the little bunnies perched at the base and the decorated taper candles are so elegant and charming. For just a few dollars, I think these are really, really special. The finish on that spray paint is beautiful too. They have a really glossy, refined, elegant finish, and you would certainly never think that these were Dollar Tree items. If you're enjoying this video so far, I would love for you to give it a thumbs up, a like, and comment in the comment section below. I really do love to get to know members of our creative community, and I love to hear your thoughts. And now on to the next project. These little basket designs have now dried. I let them sit on the counter overnight, and I'm going to show you just how cute these are. You see they pull off easily from the bottom, and you can see now they have a nice rigid form while still having a very charming, almost vintage kind of look. I'm removing the clips on the second one here, and you can see that held those little folds and pleats nicely in place. And turning it over, it pulls right off. And just look at that. Isn't that a beautiful design? There's so many ways that you can use these for the Easter season and beyond. I'm going to start by showing you some fun ways that I could think of to display these on your table. First, I'm going to fill the first one with some Easter grass. And this is some pretty shred that I had from last year actually, and it's got a beautiful pink and gold combination. And into that, I'm going to add one of these chocolate Easter bunnies. These are from Hobby Lobby, and I was so pleased with these because the quality is such that they actually look like real milk chocolate bunnies. Another option is to use some little Easter eggs. I had gotten one of the Easter egg garlands from Dollar Tree, and I took it apart, and I'm going to go ahead and just use a couple of the little bluebird type eggs along with one of the pink eggs and just lay those in the bottom of the basket. And you can see that's another sweet way of decorating it. This bag of Easter grass is from Dollar Tree, and I paid $1.25. You can see it has 3 different colors, and I'm going to go ahead and pull out some of that pink grass. This is more of a shiny style, but it'll give it an entirely different look. And I'm just going to go ahead and put some of this brighter pink in the bottom of the basket, just so you can see a few different options. The bright pink against the white looks very seasonally festive. And to this, I'm going to add an egg that I decorated using a napkin and some little embellishments from Dollar Tree. And I did this project last year. I have an entire video on decorating Easter eggs on my channel. Another option is to put the chocolate bunny against the pink, and I think that brown and pink makes a really pretty combination. I'll show you some more options in a moment, but first I want to show you that these have now dried, and cleaning up those edges is very easy. I'm going to use a piece of sandpaper. You could use also a nail file or one of the little finger sanders, but sanding works better than cutting with the scissors. You'll get a very sharp, crisp, clean outline this way. So I'm just going all the way around, and within a minute or so, I'll have this one fully defined. You can see that as I go around with the sandpaper, the napkin just easily peels away, leaving that nice crisp outline. Isn't this so sweet? I love the way this little pink bunny looks tucked into the shred. There's so many ways you can have fun with these baskets. Once you make a couple or as many as you wish, you can fill them in countless ways. Here's a butterfly design on an egg. I used a napkin to create this effect. Here, I'm going to add one of the little decorated bunnies to the basket. For this, I thought it would be fun to add in some of the green Easter grass from that bag I purchased at Dollar Tree. I'll also use a few of the carrots from this 6-pack that I bought for $1.25. But first, I'm going to go ahead and just tuck our little decorated bunny in the back of the basket, and then I'm going to scatter in a few of the carrots. These are just a few of my ideas. There are countless ones. Another fun idea would be to use the little baskets to hold foil-wrapped chocolate eggs or little Easter bunnies or other wrapped Easter candies. And of course, when the Easter season ends, you could use those little baskets to hold jewelry on your dresser. Well, there you have it, friends. Beautiful spring and Easter DIYs that are as elegant as they are budget-friendly. I have a lot more planned. I hope you'll consider subscribing if you haven't already. Do take care, and God bless.